Jesus Christ actually died and resurrected? I'll prove it with crystal clear evidence from the early Islamic books. So please watch the entire video and pay attention. In the Quran, in chapter 3, ayah 55, Allah himself said, "O Isa, I shall make thee die and lift you to myself." And the word is mutawaffika, which means I made you die. So the Quran itself confirms the death and the resurrection of Christ. The word mutawaffika on itself, without any extra additional words, can only and only refer to death. On top of that, the famous companion Ibn Abbas, in his explanation for this ayah in Sahih al-Bukhari, explained that the word mutawaffika means mumituka, maut, and maut means death in Arabic. And one of the writers of the Dawah script, Adnan Rashid, raised a challenge and said, if the word maut is used, then there is no further discussion about his death.
If in this case, if the term maut was used for Jesus Christ, then there would be no discussion here. If there was a term, if in this case, if the term maut was used for Jesus Christ, then there would be no discussion here. In the Arabic language, the specific word for death is maut. Maut.
And of course, Ibn Abbas used the word mumituka, maut. And the early famous classical Sunni scholar Imam al-Razi, in his tafsir, raised a problem and said, Christians, despite their great numbers in the east and west of the earth, and their intense love for Christ and their exaggeration in his affair, reported they saw him killed and crucified. If we, meaning Muslims, deny that, it would be an attack on what has been proven by tawatur, which means mass transmission. And attacking tawatur, mass transmission, requires attacking the prophethood of Muhammad and the prophethood of Jesus, and even their existence and the existence of all the other prophets. So all of that is worthless. So Imam al-Razi explains, if you as a Muslim deny and attack the crucifixion and the resurrection of Christ, you have attacked the prophethood of Muhammad and the prophethood of Jesus and even their existence. And on top of all that, the existence of all the other prophets. So all of that is worthless. And Imam Malik, the Mufti of Medina and founding father of the Maliki Sunni school or madhab, believed that Jesus died when he was 33 years old. And on the same page we read again that Ibn Abbas said, Inni mumituka maut, I shall make thee die. And Wahab bin Munabbah said, Tawaffahu Allah bil maut 3 ساعات ورفعه فيها ثم أحياه الله بعد ذلك وفي بعض الكتب 7 ساعات. Allah caused him to die. Again, the word maut is used for 3 hours and then he raised him up, and Allah resurrected him back to life after that. And in some books, after 7 hours. And in the tafsir of Al-Qurtubi for chapter 46, ayah 35, we read that some of these prophets were crucified on wood until they died. Now, which prophet in the history of all the prophets was crucified and killed but Jesus Christ? Of course, no one else but the Messiah, Jesus Christ, was crucified. So why would anyone want to become a Muslim if the early Muslims believed that Jesus died? Amazing. On top of that, there is not even one authentic hadith from the mouth of the Prophet of Islam where Muhammad himself denies the death and crucifixion of Christ. Not even one. So much later Muslims had to come and corrupt the early Islamic belief. Else the Muslims of today have to agree with the basic Christian belief. Jesus died on the cross and resurrected on the 3rd day. Now you might ask, when and by who was this early Muslim belief corrupted or changed? Who exactly changed this early Muslim belief? Well, we find an interesting tiny little shift much later on in history. 400 years later, after the death of the Prophet of Islam, in the 11th century, a historian by the name of Ibn Hazm al-Andalusi, better known as Ibn Hazm, in his famous work called Al-Muhalla, Volume 1 on page 23, we can read that Ibn Hazm said that when Jesus spoke to Allah in chapter 5 of the Quran, ayah 117, Jesus said, "When you, Allah, caused me, Jesus, to die." Ibn Hazm said, it is wafat al-maut. It is actual death of Jesus. Jesus did actually die. So Ibn Hazm did not deny the death of Jesus. He actually believed in the death of Christ and confirmed that Jesus died. But what Ibn Hazm said next is very interesting. Watch. Ibn Hazm concluded, the one who said that Jesus was killed or crucified is a kafir, a disbeliever. Notice, Ibn Hazm did not deny that Jesus actually died, but what he denies is that Jesus was killed or crucified. You might think why? Because this would have agreed with Christianity, right? And that would be a problem. So that's the only flavor which Ibn Hazm added in his personal explanation for this verse in the Quran. So what did we learn today and what can we conclude? We can safely say that much later in history, Muslims slowly started to corrupt and change the early Islamic narrative till they completely denied the death of the Messiah in Islam just to disagree with Christianity. We have proven that the early Muslim belief was that Jesus Christ did die, but later on Muslims corrupted Islam with their false personal interpretations. Yet these hypocrites claimed that we have corrupted our scriptures. Please share this video.